Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to Stoak'd Studio. Today we are going to cover how to cartoon yourself. So we're just going to go through some tips and tricks to get you started. Kind of go halfway through a piece, but not completely complete it. It's kind of just give you a good idea on how to start yourself off, especially being a beginner. What these people use, that you see people doing these cartoon effects, or just changing an image and it looks pretty cool and you don't know where to start. So this is where we're going to go. Okay, so as always, if you're new to my channel, then feel free to subscribe. This is the video that's going to take me over 100 subs, and we're going to do it today. But anyway, let's get into this then. So we'll start off with a new canvas. Just pick screen size, I suppose. And then we shall import whatever photo you have. So I'm just gonna import Mr. Rock here. Okay. Alright, so there's a couple of ways of doing this, in my eyes. Okay, that'll do for now. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so tip one is literally painting on paint. Okay, so you would add a layer, and then you would just go in here with whatever brush you wanted. Usually, depending on what kind of feel you want to get, I would go either a soft brush, hard brush, like airbrush, up to you. Color pick, and then paint on top. Kind of get in whatever you want to get in. Okay, now if you do this kind of effect, I would say this kind of turn out like a Grand Theft Auto kind of style. And you see this all the time. People just paint straight over the top of the photo, but it can be a little bit unrealistic. I mean, you have to really take your time, because obviously you got to play around, you want some definition, that kind of thing. You need to change your brushes. But the whole idea is that you would go in and, just paint on top of it. So when you took away, you would have like the full face in its glory, shall we say. But you see it a lot of times where people are just painting over the top, but all you see is the last kind of image, should I say. What's left. So don't feel like this is it's bad. I mean, if you want to learn art, then obviously this isn't the way to do it, but I'm telling you now that people, even when they do massive paintings, some of these people, if you really wanted to know, is they just get a projector. Get their computer, hook up the projector, point the projector at the canvas, and then draw the sketch out and then paint it. Or they even just paint straight onto the canvas with the image projected onto the canvas. So the best way of telling it is if your friend that never used to do art, but all of a sudden within 2 weeks has all of a sudden become the master of art, then he has found a way to cheat, as one would say. Or he's just got really good at art, but it's very doubtful, especially if he had, or she had, no artistic talent at all. But most of the time, you can do this kind of thing, take your time with it, you know, it's up to you. Okay, so that's one way of doing like this kind of cartoon effect. So you could just easily do it this way. So you can see now, like the face is starting to come in. So that's just me painting over the top. Okay. All right. Let's turn that one off. Let's do another one. We'll just get rid of that layer. The next one, which is kind of what most people do when they cartoon friends and family and all the rest of it, if they're kind of new to it, is they can get yourself a monoline. Yeah, monoline will do. I always turn my streamline all the way up. It allows me to get like good kind of line weight and curves. Obviously, if you're doing like long lines like so, there isn't too much jitter. I'll give you an example. So if I turn my mono stream down and then try and draw, you get this kind of shake here, yeah? Whereas if the monoline, see, just drawing normal, you'd have to do like good sweeping motion to get like a straight line. But if you want to make it easy on yourself, just turn your streamline up and it will make your life a lot easier for you. So on a new layer on top of this one, Mr. Rock, we're going to turn the opacity down so you can just about see it. Make sure you're on the top layer. Now that's always a classic sign. Whenever you're drawing on top of something and you've changed the opacity, if you draw, yeah, it should be black, the way the color should be. But if you do it on this one, yeah, because you've turned the opacity down, you can tell straight away you're on the wrong layer because you've turned the opacity down of the ink as well. So that's kind of a quick surefire that you're on the wrong layer, especially if you're about to start, because that could be a pain, believe me. All right, so basics, you just kind of go around and, you know, put some touches in, I guess. Something like this, you know, you want to kind of make sure it's you know, you can just draw around if you really want. It's up to you, really. But sometimes I like to put some extra flair bits in, so there's a bit more stuff going on. So I'm going to change this. Yeah, that's better. Some other cool things you can do is using the shape tool to do like longer lines. So you can see it's a bit weird, but if you hold down, you can like create the arc and move it, do whatever you want to do, okay? And then if you want, you could come in and edit the shape, but I mean, that's up to you. If it doesn't look right, then it's fine, but I'm good how it looks. All right, so just remembering when you do this kind of work, if you're big into kind of watching what I've done before, which is the whole flats, making sure that you do your flats right, that kind of stuff, then you want to kind of make sure that your lines are kind of crisp and they join up together, so there's no like gaps, should I say, yeah? So when you do come in to ink this, you can just color pick, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So just gonna finish off neckline here. Yeah, go big or go home. Now if you wanted, you could, like, obviously when you do this for your friends or whatever and you're getting paid for it, then you're obviously going to want to make sure that you are doing this, you know, at your own pace But for me today, we are just going to make this very easy on you. I need to turn this brush down, it's getting a bit too big now. Alright, doing the big dome. Make it really egghead. But yeah, I mean, you could throw in some, you know, thinner lines, change from studio pen to monoline. Up to you, whatever you feel like doing, okay? But I'm just trying to get this basic outline for you so you can see what I'm doing. No, that's not working. Oh wow, that's the first one I've done. That looks like that. Terrible. Even worse. Whatever. We'll leave it like that. Armani glasses. It's gonna look terrible. Alright, so down here. So like I said, you go, you know, you change brush size and kind of get into the detail parts to make this, you know, a little bit, definitely a lot better than the way I'm doing it right now. But this is kind of just showing you the basics to how to cartoon yourself. Chin. Wow, I'm not doing that very well at all. That'll do for now. Alright. That. I have no idea what that is. I did not draw that. And then that's the part of the jawline, I guess. And obviously you can turn up your threshold on the image if this is making it. I'm just going to leave that because I'll deal with that when I'm actually in it. Just going to join this up. I know it looks scruffy, but okay. Nope, that didn't work at all. So I just have to. Nope. Actually, whatever. Alright, so that gives you a basic outline. So now if I just undo this, kind of looks like the rock, okay? And then we're going to go in, probably turn this up now, just a little, so we can kind of get a feel for it. And then you can get better kind of structure, I guess. Yeah, that's good. That'll do. Alright. So what we're going to do now is basically go in and color pick stuff. So all I'm going to do is set this to reference, add a new layer, bring this down. Now you've got two options here. You can either leave this where it is, this image you've got, turn your opacity up all the way, and then hit the new layer, color drop, whatever you want, so find like a base color, and then all you're going to do is drop it in, okay? And then what you want to try and do is get your threshold as high as you can, so that when you come into doing this, let's see if we can do his arm. Yeah, okay, so that's good. Okay, alright, so let's go into here. You want it like pretty high. The reason for it is that when you come in here, you can just select the layer and do shading. So I know his color's a bit off by a mile, but you know, like I said, this is just to give you a general idea. So, and then what's that? One more here. Wow, there's a huge gap there anyway. So let's get out of that. Go back to black. So that's the big thing when doing these kind of fun things, shall I say, is that if the color, when you color drop, if the threshold's too high, then it fills the whole screen. Yeah, and if it's too low, when you come to pick it, it kind of sucks because you can't pick it and make life easy on yourself. So this is kind of flattening, is what I would call it. And it makes life so much easier in the long run when you're doing kind of shading and highlights. So making sure that you're on the layer. So if I turn this off, yeah, you can see like it's got great lines. Well, not great lines, but clear lines for you to, you know, pick. So if I do this and select on automatic, I get, you know, those pieces that I want, which is good. The one that I probably won't get is the head because the threshold is too low. Yeah, figured as much. So you can see the reason being the glasses are not closed up, and yeah, neckline's pretty good. It's a bit shaky right here, so yeah, pretty sure I could get this arm though. Nope, don't even get that arm. That sucks. So like I said, you got to make sure your lines are really good. Otherwise, there's another tip I'll show you anyway. So you should be alright. Excuse me. Alright, so that's kind of your other one to do. So you would just color drop everything. If the threshold's too high, like this, yeah, you just color drop, hold on, drop the threshold until you get the desired piece. And that's just really easy to do on if you've got it on reference. Just makes life a lot easier for you. Turn that up a bit. There we go. Same on this one. And this one. Red. Alright, so last thing to do is his sunglasses. Purple. Yeah, that's what I want anyway. And it. So it gives that faded look. Interesting. Yeah, kind of looks like him, doesn't it? So that's kind of the easy way of doing cartooning something or someone. Yeah, you can go in there and just kind of outline everything, then color drop using the palette. I said there was two ways. The other way was actually to take the image that you're using and shrink it down and put it to the side, so you don't have to go back and forth to look at the layer. But that's kind of a preference, whatever you feel like doing. Obviously, if I do the flats like this, put in the first colors, now I'm kind of ready to do the shading and highlights. Okay, so with that in mind, I would add a new layer on top of your flats or the base colors. I would set it to multiply by pressing the N, and then I would put in the first colors that I wanted. So I just pick like this particular one, and I would make it a little bit darker, and I would probably pick the studio pen in my eyes, which is in inking, I believe. Yeah. And then I would, lay in, so like here is shaded, and up the armpit like this. Now you can see it's really dark right now, but don't worry too much about that, because we're gonna turn down the opacity. A second. Now if you go over the lines like I have, the trick to do is actually set this layer to a clipping mask. So remember how I said if I could select the arm, so like now I've done this freehand, but if I set it to a clipping mask now, then it'll go inside the lines, which is good. Yeah. The other way of doing it is if you've got a selection. Let's get this all gone. If you've got a selection, best thing you can do is just make sure, go back and multiply, max up, is you can go to automatic selection tool, select the arm, and then you could go in here and be able to just color inside. So there's two options: you either select a clipping mask or select this certain place. So the lines are good in here, so I can just select this shirt, which is perfect. Yeah, so if I wanted to do some shading on the shirt, pick my brush. I'm only going to ever color inside, the actual shirt. So I could go mental right now, but I can't color outside the shirt. Yeah. So same kind of premise as a clipping mask, but whenever I do like stuff for people, I always try and do the selection one, so I don't have so many clipping masks. But I mean, again, it's preference. It's up to you. Okay. So using whatever image you have as a reference, this is a good way of helping yourself get better at shading as well. So I would just, like I said, pick the color, make sure it's on multiply. That's good. Got my pen, make it a bit darker. So I know this area here is definitely going to need shadow. I'm going to show you another way in a second once I just do this arm piece. Let's put some shade here, I guess. And also you can change brush and size and do whatever you want to do, okay? And then I would change the opacity. Okay, so you would slide up and down however you want to get the shade that you wanted. That particular one sucks very much. Just get you out. Okay. Do some shading up here, I guess. That's it. And then you can just go in with an eraser as well. My eraser is a square brush which I made. Up to you. It literally, it's just a flat brush or for flatting, but a square brush, all it has for a shape is the square from the source library and a grain from the source library, and that's it. All you do is you import both of those and you're done. Then you just press done, and then it's just a flat brush, but I put it as a kind of eraser so you can get close to lines, that kind of sort of thing. But you can choose to do a round brush as well. It's up to you. Alright, so there's a couple of shadings in there. Another way of doing it is selection tool, but actually freehand selecting. So let's say, for instance, on his neck, you can see there's this huge shadow. Yeah, his head's like an Easter island. So you could go in like so. When it comes up, let's just go under the neck for now. And do that. Yeah? So, I mean, this part goes a bit further. You could actually click to select that, then do another piece. If you don't know how the selection tool works on the freehand, if you select, you just press back on the little grey icon, the grey dot, and then you can do another selection. Okay. So, so now let's change the brush up a bit. Let's do a airbrush, like so. So let's use a soft airbrush, same color, and then kind of just go over it. Depending on how hard you press, if I go real hard, then it's going to give you a real dark shadow there, yeah? So you can choose to come in, you know, lighter, build it up, you know, depending on what you want the feel of, you know, your artwork to look like, you know? Up to you, yeah? Once you're done, just press the selection tool, and you've got a shadow underneath, and it's kind of perfect to what you want. Okay, so that's another good way of doing, like, using the selection tool instead of trying to draw that shadow in. You can do that instead. When I finish with my shading, then we would move on to highlights. So add a new layer, and then, you know, you can see it's massive, like his forehead right there. So forehead, there's one there, huge on the arms, couple down here, some there, here. You know, you can just use the photo to reference where highlights are going to be. Like, one of the main ones that you should definitely get done really well is these ones, yeah, right here, because that would make a picture in my eyes, because it's giving you like good definition, contrast between like this shading and all the rest of it. So like these areas, and then the forehead, that's kind of where you want to work when you're doing highlights and shading. But I've seen some people just do the flats and they're like, right, done. There you go, something different. But you can change different ones, different pens, brushes. You could use acrylic, brushes. Gives you different styles every time. So, depending on what you want to do, it's kind of up to you. But those are kind of my main tips on how to flat or cartoon yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so I'll do one of these highlights to give you hopefully a better example. So just on top of the shoulder right here, that's kind of a nice easy one to go with. So just get yourself kind of light white. Seems pretty good. And then you can play around with the layer adjustments on this. This is kind of, it's up to you. You either leave it like it is, It's all down to you, I would say. I think the reason that keeps happening to me and I'm having to fill this in is because my main layer is on reference layer, and you can't do that. You can't do the whole color drop with reference because it's referencing the whole ink layer. So that's probably why I can't color drop right now, because I've done it like 3 times now and it's still not working. Alright, so highlights. So just done like a couple on the arm. All I would do here is start playing with your opacity to give you a you're kind of eyeballing it really, and then you can play with these however you want. So I think overlay just uses color underneath. Soft color I think was the one that was the best one. Yeah, soft light. It's kind of more of a shadow. Yeah, so soft light or normal, and then just use the opacity to give you whatever you want, basically. Obviously, as I build this up, you would get better highlights. Then I'd have to go back into my shadows, kind of get that right again. And then kind of build it up like that, really. That's kind of my deal. What I have found, which maybe someone who knows, because I don't, please do leave me a comment, is when so let's say I just done highlights, and I go, wow, like I missed this shadow like right here. So I go back into my shadow layer and I pick my color and then go back in. It's a different color than the other shadow layers. Yeah? So if I pick the shadow layer and go in, it's still a different color. So the question is, how do I get the same color as the shadow layer? I use the actual layer. Still wrong. So even if I went into highlights I was like, oh, I need to put a highlight here. So I picked the color. That one is not too bad. The whites is fine. But when I use the browns, it sucks. So, but that could be because of opacity multiply, but I still don't understand why, but it's a different color. All right. But if you know the answer to that, then just let me know. Probably too far into the video for someone to actually answer that, but I'm sure someone might do. But you can do this as, add into it, try and get that layer, come back down, or use a color palette, and then, so explain it better, Kev. So I add a layer, I get that color, I set this one to multiply. This is my brain logically working. See what the percentage is, 47. Make sure it's on multiply, got that layer. Put it on opacity, bring it down to 47. Go in. Yeah. Still not. That would be my logical way of doing it, but still it is not right. So, oh well. That's not cool. Come on, there you go. Yep. So if you can answer that one, that would be awesome, because I have no idea. Anyway, I'm waffling on now. So those are kind of your main kind of ways of coloring or cartooning yourself. Hopefully it was really helpful. I'm going to delete that layer and that layer. So either paint on top, of your image, up to you, or use your image to outline, get yourself in lines. But don't feel like you have to stay with, the picture. Now, when I say that, what I'm trying to get at is, if I delete both these layers, let's bring him back, add a new layer here, because you can get like a completely different feel for like the for the picture. So I mean, I could turn this down a little bit, not too much, and just really get eccentric with it, just like a different feel. You could be like a crazy muscle guy, and all you need to do, I know it's kind of like rushed, but just to give you like a different line weight, bring this down. This is just changing to a different pen. And all I would do here is just go in with an eraser and, just erase the parts that I didn't want. No, he's got weird ear now. Really weird. Square head. Yeah, all depends, like, I don't know, just give you a different kind of look to the whole piece, different line weights, and then just go in with your eraser and just take out the bits that, you don't want real quickly or slowly. Obviously, don't do it as quick as that. But gives you a different feel to the whole picture, okay? So that's another one. Just changing your brush, whatever it is, makes a completely different picture at the same time, alright? Alright guys, thanks for watching Stoak'd Studio. Like I said, hopefully this helped you cartoon yourself or someone or something. Feel free to subscribe if you're new to the channel, Always looking for new subs, obviously. And if you need any more help with Procreate, being a beginner as I am, and you being a beginner if you're watching this, then feel free to leave a comment. Always trying to think of new tutorials to do, whether they're old or new. Alright? Thanks again. See you on the next one.